Hello everyone. In this video of Linux, we are going to look at Boolean operations, if statements, and cases. So first we're going to look at and, or, and not, which you might have seen in some of my previous videos, and then we're going to look at the ifs and the case. So, and we're going to use simple examples. So let's say here I want to create a temporary dir or directory. Call it temp dir, and I use the make dir command to make it. And if this one was successful, I'm gonna echo something. What do I echo? I say temp directory is made, or just made, right? Or made successfully, something like that. And you see that because the first command was successful, now and checks the second one and it prints the result with the echo. And if you go here, you can see that the temp dir is made. Okay, so and only works when this first one was successful, then it looks at the second one. Now here, let's remove this. So I use rm and I say remove this. And if you could remove it, go ahead and if it was basically, let me use or this time. So try to remove it, or echo temporary dir could not be removed. So what is this? Or works when the first one fails, when it returns a basically false. Then it looks at the second one, because if the first one is good, it doesn't even need to look at the second one. So this echo will work if this command cannot do its job, right? It cannot remove it. So let's see here. You see, it did not give me anything. Means that this command did actually work and remove that temp dir. Is it? Yes. You see that here is gone because I used the right command. Now, however, let me make it again. If I use a wrong command here, like rm, not rmdir, because this command cannot do the job, I should get the echo to write that text for me. And you see that it did, and it showed this, and if you go and see, this is still here. Okay, so clearly or is showing its application here. Now let me show you one with not. So here I have this file inside the folder home or location home, my file1 text, and it has these words in it. Now I want to search something in this file with grep. So I say, hey, grep, and then check the word hello in this my file1.txt, and if this returns something, what would you say? You say word hello was found in my file1.txt, correct? So if I could do it, go ahead and say that, I forgot the echo, go ahead and say that this happened, right? This word does exist in the file, right? Look here, it doesn't give me anything because, of course, hello is not there. Now I can do this. Instead of this one, I can say not of that. What does this mean? Means if basically you search hello and this one was not there, right? You couldn't find it. Then say this was not found in my file1 text. Look, it was not found. So you see that I can turn this 0, because it didn't return anything, into a 1 by making it, by negating it by a not operator. So this is what this is, and, or, and not here. Now let's go for if. So the structure of if is this: if, and then double bracket, and then some statement, right, or some condition, and then semicolon, then you type some commands, and then end of if, which is writing if backwards basically. So this is the structure of if. Now, how do I use it? So let me show you here. So let's say I want to look for a specific file name, and if I cannot find it, I'm gonna throw some message for you, right? Now, how can I check a specific file name here? Can I use the ls? If I use ls, right, you see that it returns everything. If I say give me ls of my file 4.txt, you know that file does not exist in the current directory. So what does it return? It says, hey, I could not find it, no such file or directory. If I say 3, it can find it, and it doesn't return a 1 to me, it returns the name of the file. Okay, so ls does not give me a 0 or a 1, it gives me a text, which is either the file name that it could find or what, or giving you an error message that it could not find it. So if you want to convert searching a file into a yes or no, into a true or false, ls is not the command to use. You have to use something else, and that is basically -f and the name of the file. So look here, my file 3.txt, and again pay attention to these spaces that I have here. So this here, this -f file name, this is basically searching for a file but returning it as a 0 or 1. So if this file could be found, then what? And you see, when I say then and enter, it doesn't go back to the common cursor, it is waiting for me to type my statement, so, or command. So here echo is my file 3.txt exists, correct? And then fi. Look here, because this command returned a 1, this statement did work and you get the result. Now if I go ahead and change this to my file 4, look what happens. Because file 4 does not exist, so this part after the then is not gonna run. Look here. Okay, so you can clearly see that depending on whether the condition after if is true, the result the command after then would run. If it's false, it's not gonna run. Okay, now one thing that you probably have seen maybe in one of my previous videos, I used the if command with single bracket, not with double bracket. So I used it this way. Can I use it this way with a single bracket? This is the older kind of syntax, and you see that here it did actually work, right? For 3, for 4 it didn't do anything. For 3, look, if I do it, it does actually work. So you might say, what's the difference between single bracket and double bracket? Well, double bracket is the newer version, and it is able to allow you use these logical operators, okay? And it actually is much more robust, especially when you're working with words and so on, compared to the single bracket. So my recommendation is always use double bracket. To give you an example, let's say here I want to search for 2 files instead of 1, and if both of them exist, then I show something. So look, this is what I do. I say if my file 3 does exist and my file 2 does exist, then echo that my file 2 and my file 3.txt both exist, right? By the way, I forgot to add one s here. It should be exists. I forgot one s here, but here I want to say if both of them exist, then go ahead and type it. Look, you see, it is not working. But if I did it with double bracket, because here I'm combining 2 things with and, right? So let me use a double bracket, and perform the AND, and you're gonna see the result. Look here, there we go. It is working. It says both of them exist. Okay, so my recommendation is always use double bracket. It is a lot more robust and can handle a lot more scenarios for you. So this was what searching for file, if a statement, and so on. Now let me show you some more interesting cases. So here we're going to look at, for instance, nested ifs, or we're going to look at basically if-else statements, and so on and so forth. So let's look at some of them here. For instance, let's look at what, as I said, let's look at the nested ifs. So we want to say if some condition happens, then check for another condition, and if that one also is correct, then do something. Like what? For instance, I say if dash e and then my file one.txt. You know what this one does, right? From previous videos working with files, this checks whether this file exists or not. So if this thing exists, then now here is the inside if now dash r means the file is readable. My file one.txt, again semicolon, again then, and then echo that my file one.txt both exists and is readable, right? So if that is happening, go ahead and do that, and now you have to end both of the ifs with two back-to-back FIs. And you see that it says yes, this file both does exist and is readable. So you see here I'm using what? I'm using nested ifs, as you can see. Okay, let me show you if else, which is looking at a junction, right? If condition is true, do something, otherwise do something else. And with elif you can have several decision branches, not just two. So let's do that. Let's do all of it together. For instance, let's read a number input by the user, entered by the user. Can I do that? Yes, that's another command I want to show you to get something from the user. So the command is read. And you say read dash p, and then give this message to the user, enter a real number, for instance, right? And then get the result and save it as n. So what am I doing here? When you say read, you with dash p means what? Means first show this basically prompt to the user, and then wait for the user to enter a number, get it, and assign it to p. So here you're doing several things at the same time. If you didn't use dash p, first you have to show this command with echo, and then you had to read the number just with read n. So by using this dash p, you are showing the display and reading together. You're combining them together. So look here. Now it shows you the prompt and waits for you. So I type in 6, for instance. Good. Now here I want to take some actions based on this number. For instance, if it was positive, I say you entered positive. If it was 0, say you entered 0, and similarly for negative. How do I do that? Two ways you can do it. One, because here n is just a number 6, you can basically use parentheses instead of double brackets. Can you? Yes. So say if n is less than 0, double parentheses, right? Then what? Echo negative. Yes? elif. It's not else if, it's elif. Double parentheses, n was double equals 0. Then, and you see there is a then after everything, echo 0, else. Now for else there is no condition needed, so you can just directly go to echo echo positive, right? And end of if. And you see it says positive. Why? Because the number I entered was 6. Now if I do it again and this time say -7 for instance, and I run this whole thing, now you see it says negative and you see it's working fine. So you might say, well, why didn't you use double bracket? Why did you use double parentheses this time? It's just for arithmetic. Double parentheses is for arithmetic. If I had to do this with brackets, how should I do that? So let me show you. So you do double bracket. Now n here is not really, if you don't use it with $sign, it's not considered like a number. It's just will be the ASCII value for letter n. So you have to use $n first of all. Second of all, you cannot use this smaller than this way. You have to use those comparison operators that I showed you, -LT, less than. You have to do it this way, and it works. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, so here, similar thing. This one should be $n, and this one should be -equal. Okay, you have to use the comparison operators and the rest of it. So this is how you do it, and you see that it is working. Okay, so if it's just number, you can use double parentheses and escape all of this extra characters and operators for double brackets. Okay, so this was what this was, basically if, elif, else. Now let me show you the last one, the case command here. So here, case is like switch otherwise that you have in MATLAB. So let me show you that. So here I say again, read -p, and do you allow the installation, right? And you say yes/no. Okay, and then you read some answer. This time answer is not a number. It is simply what? It is simply a text, okay, or character in this case. So do you agree to do that? Why? Okay, so I said yes. Now based on this, I just want to say you accepted, you disagreed, or didn't accept, and sometimes you enter a letter other than Y and N, just B or something, just to check whether the case is working or not. So you say case, and then bracket, $answer brackets. You remember this, right? This is to basically get the value of the variable answer. And then here, what would you do? Now for case, you have to use the keyword in. You say in. Now what are the scenarios here? It's small y. Sometimes they could use capital Y. If it's the case and you have to close it with the parentheses, your case, when you finish it, you have to close it with the parentheses, then echo you allowed, for instance, right? And then you have to use double semicolon to close a case. And then here, of course, you can use small n or capital N, parentheses, again, echo you did not allow, right? Again, double semicolon to close it. And now here, anything else, so use star. If you remember, star is used for anything else. And then echo invalid answer. Again, semicolon, double, and then end of case, which is writing case backwards like this. And you see it says you allowed because you said Y, right? Now if I do this and I give some irrelevant character like I don't know M, right? Clearly M is not Y or N. So if I run all of that, now it says invalid answer. Okay, so this is how you run case and basically end of case and in. So hopefully this was useful to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.